what we do here is go back.
Hey guys, this is Cyclonic here, bringing you Design Critiques episode number 11. Really appreciate all the support I've been getting lately on these, all the submissions and such, all the offers to be co-hosts for this series. So just to give anyone a reminder, any new viewers, an outlook on what's going on here, I try to give my critiques on a bunch of pieces that the community, the design community, I should say like the esports design community submits to me, and I think it's a nice way to just kind of get deferring, maybe deferring like another set of eyes on the work that you're doing to maybe push your creativity in a different direction or help you improve some of these pieces. These are all my opinion, of course, not necessarily things that you need to implement, but just what I see from my experience having worked in design. So without further ado, let's get started. This is a nice football poster by JDOS. I really like the composition of everything and how all the colors work together, so there's not too much I'm going to have to critique about this. I'll leave it to three somewhat minor things. Considering I don't have much of a knowledge of football, this might be a little different for people who are familiar with the NFL. But, or it's not even NFL, it's college. That's okay, that makes more sense. Anyway, I don't know if he's a well-known college player or not, but the only really differentiating things for him would be his face and the number, and both of those are somewhat obscured, so having the text be this small, I don't know if that's necessarily the best move there. You could maybe utilize this space up here or even print it somewhere here and see if that works out for you. Next thing is that the glow here, I'm not exactly sure. It just kind of sticks out a little bit for me to have this yellowish glow here. I'd have tried to make it more of a maroon glow, maybe like a gradient where you go from a golden one up here to a more maroon one down there. I think that might help a little bit. And then I also don't know if with all this lighting here, if this would really be this dark. I feel like it could maybe be a little bit lighter to not make this contrast be so it just kind of pops out to me a little bit the more I look at it. So those are just a few recommendations. Everything else here though, there's shadowing and stuff, is nice. You can really, I didn't have to like think about the fact that the players were on this canvas. It just automatically popped out to me and made sense. So that's obviously one of the objectives with shadowing, so nicely done there. Alright. This one is a header by Mace. So first thing that pops off the page to me here is that there's three different kinds of design styles going on here, and I'm not sure that it fits together all that well, which I think is a common problem when people are just starting out, is that this sort of like plasma fiery thing, this like cartoon clip art-esque, doesn't match well with this lower quality sort of plasma thing going on here, this like particle distortion stuff going on here, and then in the back you have some grunge stuff. They're all the same color more or less, but I don't think that the design styles really fit there. If you're gonna pick a topic, you know, like grunge kind of thing, or clip art, or like particle distortion, just choose one of them and make that the setting for your header, and I think that would be that would make the work a lot better. Another thing is that I think you should have gone with a white text. I'm not sure about this whole transition to blue here. Like blue and green technically work as a color scheme, so it's not like you're hurting any eyes, but at the same time, I'd have liked to see this as more of a like white front face text, and maybe because this character is holding this purple bottle, have purple backing here or something. You can play around with it, but I would definitely, to make the text pop, I would definitely make this front face white if possible. That's what I tend to default to for most of my graphics, is a white kind of text to, so it fits with anything and doesn't seem like it's part of the backing. It'll pop out but go with anything. Also, maybe make the text less large. That way you balance the header out to be more of the character plus the text instead of just the massive text and oh, there's the character off to the side. that I'm only really focusing on because of this massive flame down here. So hopefully that critique will help as you progress. That'd be my overarching comment, is to make sure you're putting elements, design elements together that really fit and are of similar style, and that you're not just looking at each design style in a vacuum and saying, okay, that looks good, I'm gonna move on. So yeah. All right, this one is a header by Josh. I really like how this header looks. I don't really have much to say in terms of a critique. The colors are all, it's easy to read. Colors all work well together. One thing I guess I will say is that there seems to be this sort of lighting on this character. Maybe like a yellowish, at least up here. And this guy's kind of flat. He's not that bright, and I think it's a little bit awkward of a dynamic to have that. So I maybe put some lighting on his face here. I think I see an RGB split somewhat, a little bit of an RGB split maybe, which I think is also cool, and it's done just subtly enough that it doesn't completely hurt the piece, but it adds like a little extra sauce to it. So I like that. Yeah, this lighting over here seems to be primarily on this guy and like a little bit of his elbow. I would think that if you're gonna put this guy in the foreground like this, he should have similar lighting to this guy and make that really happen, or else you fully immerse this main guy into the backing, although I still think you need him as the main character. Because this almost is giving me like the big brother little brother dynamic, rather than they're the two similar characters. They're two of the same character. So that's a little bit interesting, but not something that kills the piece, because the rest of this is done pretty well, I think. So yeah, not too much to say on this one. Alright, this is a stream schedule graphic for Raptors Uprising GC made by Jack. I really love the lighting over here. I think that was done really well. The whole cutout and stuff looks good along with this. The thing is that this is all done nice, and then you come here and it's like, okay, I don't have that same feeling. It's like the graphic is weighted over here and this is just like an aside. So I would put some lighting over here as well if you can swing it. The next thing is that I'd really find a way to differentiate the three components of this graphic. One is the link, next is the stream schedule text, and then it's the actual schedules themselves. Having the red right next to each other makes it harder for me to visually separate the stuff when I'm thinking about it. So that's why I highly encourage design elements like a box here or some lines or something to really separate them. And I also don't necessarily know if you need to go and make these things, make Monday red, Thursday white, Friday red again. I think a lot of times if you change color like that, it just tends to hurt more than help. If anything, maybe what could make more sense if you really wanted to do a text color change is to do days all in one color, times all in one color. And then what'll happen is that you say, okay, now the thing goes from white to red this way to white to red that way, and okay, that can help me separate visually how stuff is going. So I think that's important. Last thing I'll say is that I don't know if there's a reason to really include Twitch.tv. Anyone that's on this profile and looking at this stuff is probably going to know what Twitch is. You might as well make the logo bigger and then make this Raptors text white, because you want them to know where to go. You want them to know the username, and that shouldn't be harder for me to read than the first part of the link that people are probably already going to know. So that could all just be my opinion, of course, but I think if you approach it from that kind of marketing social point of view when looking at this graphic, it'll really help the organization and the flow of it. But definitely well done on this part. I really like how it's set up in that sense. All right. Next thing, also big thing, what that I should say, if someone is a lot of times with the 2K League, it's not necessarily like only people from Canada are watching Raptors Uprising, or only people from Milwaukee are watching Bucks Gaming. The 2K League is a whole community in the sense that you'll be getting a lot of viewers from the US, different time zones. It's important when doing these graphics, when you have times here, to make sure people know what what the time zone is, or convert everything to Eastern time and put it in Eastern time. Like for example, for NBA teams, it's not as big of a thing because most of the support for those teams comes from the the nearby people, the regional people as well. But for esports, you're much more connected globally, so it's important to have that here to do that. And then also maybe you could maybe just put like a little thing here saying timely cook, just so that people know. Although it'll be done in copy, a lot of these things will be done in copy, which is like the caption for the pictures when social tweets them. I think it's also important to try and let the graphic be as standalone as possible. So it's not necessary to put his name down here, but it never hurts with branding, I don't think, to like make sure people know who your players are. Alright, so with that being said, this is the last piece here. It's an interesting header. There's not too much in terms of like separate design elements. One thing that immediately catches my attention is that this is purple text, and then you have this purple slash right here, making it tougher, especially even with the white text. It's still making it kind of hard to read what's going on here. So I'd maybe do something where these particles are more visible and blurred out here, and they're less visible over here, so that this is much easier to focus on and read. Maybe throw in a little bit more lighting as well, because you have this kind of like hazy effect going on, I think. Or it feels hazy to me, but I don't know where the lighting is for it. I'm not seeing like a distinct source of lighting, and I think that would help this header. I see some lighting here, but I think to make it pop, you could add a little bit, some light source here, there, some brushing. But these purple particles really overwhelm the whole piece. So finding a way to scale that down, I think, would be a big step as well. But other than that, I don't think there's much else I'd really need to. I like the backwards amend text. I mean the background outlined amend text. I don't think there's anything much more. Other critiques of mine would probably just go into stylistic preferences. Rather than having amend here, you might try and do something with their logo, with the logo here. But that's also a very generic way of designing, so that's just a stylistic thing that you could maybe consider. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you all found the critiques useful. And if you guys want to hit me up and get me any pieces for Design Critiques number 12, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. Stuff is in the description for that. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the love. And with that being said, peace.